Hi guys, it's Candidate Master Cyrano Lossi here once again to briefly discuss the games that you have been sending to me. In this situation we have a very interesting one about Binnick system between our subscriber Johannes with the white pieces and Ihad 882 with the black pieces. So the Botvinnik system is the one that I will show you right now for the ones that don't know it. It's a very theoretical line and it leaves this very bad looking hole on d4 square, which although it's very ugly at first sight, it's completely playable and very grandmasters have gone for this line. However, one should be always very careful to not leave this d4 square too weak and to always try to push in the center later on in the mid game with a prepared d3 d4 advanced in the right moment. So although it's very bad looking, it's completely playable and safe for white. So simply development for now for both sides. Okay, now black goes for d6, and here the most theoretical play and move is rook e8, because grandmasters intend to go for ideas like c6 and d5 or d6 later on in the game, of course, but grandmasters tend to wait for his opponents to declare his intentions. They always use that strategy. Okay, so that's why rook e8 is sometimes better than d6, completely lacking the tension in the game. There are some games in which white even go for a3 because the exchange of this bishop for this knight isn't bad for white, as now black will be able to push with d3 d4 in the center later in the game. There are also situations in which white simply develops and white immediately goes for an equal game with d6, as in this situation. So a lot of pieces can get exchanged and completely equal. So black went here for d6. Of course, it's a logical move and it's not a mistake, but by any means. White goes for bishop d2, and here bishop d2 is logical. I mean, it's avoiding the bishop takes c3 exchange with apparently spoiling your pawn structure, but we already told that taking with pawn and later on going for d4 is a right idea. So I would like you to pause the video, think on what will black play again if they could move once again, and decide for some other candidate moves. Okay, so hope you paused the video and found some interesting candidate moves here. Now in this situation we have candidate moves like h3, avoiding the bishop to come to g4, because this knight on f3 is special, because it's the only piece from white that covers the important d4 square that might be weak in the future, as told, if we are not careful. So h3 was a candidate move, but there we have only another logical development move like bishop e2. Here I will suggest, and I found that bishop e2 was a bit better. Black might go for something like h6, also taking care of its d5 square after something like bishop g5. It might be a bit passive move. However, here we can see that black is simply slightly to clearly better, because have more spots for his pieces, and also might be like in the same amount of development for both sides. We have more harmony, okay, and we are still looking where we will place this bishop, white square bishop, and where will we place our knight of b8. Maybe something like knight c6 and knight d4 will come, more probably, of course, but we are not defined at all. We can see that with white we don't have the same situation as, okay, sorry, I'm just erasing. Okay, so with white we don't have the same situation, as this bishop now cannot go to g5, but only to e3, where it's not doing something very important. This knight of c3 is pinned. We can castle, of course, but whenever it goes to d5, this spot is clearly very well protected by black with some move like c6. So here black is still much better. White went for bishop d2, Black here played knight c6, although here an interesting move will have been something like a5, you know. So here if something like knight d5 comes out, then black will simply be able to exchange a lot of pieces, and then we have the important topic from exchanging this bishop from c8 for this knight on f3. That is the only piece that covers the d4 square, and then we will be able to get this knight until that d4 square. Okay, as you can see, it's very easy. And now white has a very bad position, as now this d4 is like a complete hole in his position. But that didn't happen. Black went for knight c6, which is okay. Now a5, I have to say, it's with the idea of playing a3 and bishop c5. That's the logic behind. So white cannot play b4 and make this bishop go back and maybe be able to trap it. But then here is black. Black is simply perfect. That didn't happen. Black played knight c6. White answered bishop e2. And now it's a very important point where black made a little bit of a mistake and went for knight d4. The problem with knight d4 is that after knight takes, when you're having a weak square, this is precisely what you should avoid. I mean, you should avoid putting a pawn in that square. So now black plays his e5 pawn on d4 square, and I won't be able to put another piece on it. So now this square that was a weak one became a normal square. I mean, this pawn doesn't make anything important at this point. So white does not have any weakness right now on his position. So it really changed a lot because of black's mistake with 7 knight d4. So it came knight d5, logical. Some pieces got changed, and we got kind of a symmetrical center, only with the difference that black has the pawn on C and the C column and white does on the E column. So black went for c5, more or less an equal move, and white decided to take on it, which was the right choice because this pawn might be vulnerable, okay, to attack on the c5. So white had to castle. Black plays c5. Now we have a solid pawn chain, but white will be able to push later with b4, attacking the head of the chain, which is not the best stuff. But as Nimzowitsch told, we can either attack the chain, the basis of the chain, the base of the chain of pawns, or we can attack the head of it. Okay, so this is exactly the reason of f4 for going with e5, but here b4 will have been a bit better. Okay, black went for queen e7. They had another options like bishop b7. Queen e7 was a nonsense move. I mean, it didn't really have a good idea. Better was to play something like bishop b7 or rook b8, pressing over this pawn, b2 pawn, and also avoiding b4 move. Okay, so it really makes a bit stronger your pawn of chains. So white can go for something like e5. Maybe that was black's idea with queen e7, but the pawn will get lost after the exchanges and simply rook e8, and this pawn is too advanced. It's almost an isolated and advanced pawn, and it's just too weak. So white cannot do something to protect it. So black played queen e7, avoiding e5, and here white went for b3. Once again, it was much better to play b4 instead. b3 is just with not an idea. It's just kind of avoiding c4, which was not playable, so it really didn't matter. So black simply kept playing logical chess by playing bishop b7. Now that white is not really interested in playing b4, so after bishop f3, a lot of changes came after the sequence f5, rook e1, f takes, bishop takes, takes, and now coming with rook e8. And we simply exchange a lot of pieces and get into a pawn endgame, in which the most important stuff. Now this is all standard. Both sides advance his kings, get some space with the pawns. and this is still equalized. There will just come a point in which I want you to really analyze the game. Okay, here I would like you to pause the video and think as black here. Okay, there's a very important move that can save black's life here. Okay, so I hope you were able to find it. The right move on this position was king h6. Okay, we will look why. After something like king e5, the logical consequence, now it comes c4. So this king h6 move was just to give up a tempo to white, because after c4 the king is not anymore on the square of the d pawn. The square of the d pawn is this one I'm just trying to draw into you on the board. So the rule of the square always tells us that when we have our king on this square that I've just drawn, then my king will be able to stop the pawn, okay, before it can promote. But if I advance this king, like in this situation, to the e5 square, now my king cannot avoid this pawn to promote if it advances right now, okay, because it's not longer on the square. So black simply went for c4, well, could have gone for c4 in the right line, and now the point is that white cannot take here because of d3, and the pawn cannot be avoided of promotion. So king has to take, and now after the exchanges this pawn gets lost, or white protected but cannot really push with it, and it will be simply a draw. Okay. Also, when we get to control the two squares behind, in front of the pawn, sorry, when it wants to promote, then it's a draw. It's a theoretical draw. The tips like this that I'm giving to you, you can find them better explained on Jesus de la Villa International Master book, the 100 Endgames You Must Know. It's a very good book that explains every detail of endgames to you. So black went for c4 instead of king h6, giving up the important tempo, but here white can simply take, because now my pawn cannot advance, because my king will be able to eat it, okay, because it's in the square. Once again, the pawn gets lost and saw the position with it, okay. So important things that we can learn about this game: how the Botvinnik system works, how grandmasters used to play it with black, and also the important point about the d4 hole, where black played knight d4 and placed a pawn on d4, being not able anymore to place a piece here. So this d4 square wasn't anymore a weakness on white's field. Then we can also look for the principle of attacking the pawn chains. We can attack it from the base or from the head. In this situation it was better to attack it from the head with moves like b4, because if we get to exchange pawns here, then we will be able to push it with a rook. We can even double rooks, and this pawn will have a lot of pressure going on. We can even add our queen to the game, to a5, have enters on c7, potential entries there. So b4 will have been the right way to take the chain here, instead of playing f4 and trying to go with e5. Where black didn't look at that and enter an endgame, here f5 was the only choice, reasonable choice to keep playing here for some options of winning. And then at the endgame, black did this little mistake, because they didn't knew the rule of the square, or they didn't have time, which is completely understandable. So that is the most important points about this game, guys. I hope you like the rest of the analysis with the series of these games, and remember that you can keep participating of this series of analysis by simply adding your games on the comment section of the video. I'm also available to personal training, so I will leave you my chess.com profile when I'm recognized as an official trainer. on the description of the video too. And remember to subscribe in order to be able to get the notification when we upload the next series of analysis, okay? So I will analyze all of your games, so don't worry, don't feel shy, go send your games. It's a pleasure for me to look at your games and to share some of the things I know with you, okay? So see you next video, guys.